If you want to get only the best,
giving you round-the-clock entertainment.
Radio Continental 102.3 FM. Great music, great talk.
Any day, every day.
UI Mix. In tune.
I can be a super girl, but I am the girl you can reach out to next door. I can be a diva girl, yes I can. I am not a wannabe, Pacific is a Wonder Woman. I am not a lover girl, yeah. I am the girlfriend you wish you had. I am the wifey you never had. I am that African girl who can show respect, take good care of her man. I am so original, yeah. I know they fall, but if I fall, I go fall, yakata for you. I know they fall, but if I fall, I go fall, yakata for you. You go woo me and woo me and woo me and woo till you catch me. You go pull all the strings where you know how to pull till you grab me. Day by day when I sit beside my window, think about what I'm gonna do for you. You need a woman who is human, no. But you see, you got to work hard for it. You will find only if you try once more. Love is patient, love is kind, oh. Na, 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 na. I am the girlfriend you wish you had. I am the wifey you never had. I am that African girl who can show respect, take good care of her man. I am so original, yeah. I know they fall, but if I fall, I go fall, yakata for you. I know they fall, but if I fall, I go fall, yakata for you. You go woo me and woo me and woo me and woo till you catch me. You go pull all the strings where you know how to pull till you grab me. I know they fall, but if I fall, I go fall, yakata for you. I know they fall, but if I fall, I go fall, yakata for you. You go woo me and woo me and woo me and woo till you catch me. You go pull all the strings where you know how to pull till you grab me. You go woo me and woo me and woo me and woo till you catch me. You go pull all the strings where you know how to pull till you grab me.
You want to get only the best,
Giving you round-the-clock entertainment.
Radio Continental 102.3 FM. Great music, great talk.
any day, every day.
You're listening to The Land is Green.
You are tuned to Radio Continental 102.3 FM and the time is 8:05 p.m. This is the Land is Green business program and I am Linda. We will be talking about Nigeria's technical economic recession and I have Mr. Femi Onakanren, the MD CEO of Eagle Value Nigeria Limited. You're welcome to the program.
Pleasure being here.
Recently, the Minister of Finance said that Nigeria is technically in recession. What does it mean for a country to be technically in recession?
A recession is a period of temporary economic decline, during which trade and industrial activity in a country or region are reduced. It is generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters following each other. The key index to look at is what is the GDP, what comprises the GDP. The GDP is comprised of consumption plus investment, government spending, and the balance of trade, which is export minus import. Now, on each of those bases, you look at it that we are actually challenged. The consumption levels are reducing because of the reduced spending power of the average person. Investment has reduced. I mean, we have lower FDI and FPI, with foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. There's low industrialization, limited infrastructures. Government spending is reduced because of the apparent oil revenue relapse that we've had, falling oil prices globally, the failure to pass the budget on time with all the attendant issues at the political level, and forex challenges. Our balance of trade is also a bit of a mess because we are highly dependent on oil export. And because of the sabotage going on currently and insecurity radicalization, I mean, we're challenged. So everything add up will have, of course, reduced GDP, which would definitely lead us into a recession.
So that's what it means for a country to be technically in recession. Okay, the government had devised a strategic measures of reducing salaries, waste, discipline on how public money is spent, and more money for capital expenditure. Do you think these measures will revive the economy?
We believe that these are fair attempts, by the government to resolve the issues. It is quite clear that, we've had a culture of waste and, mismanagement, corruption, and not enough funding of capital expenditure. However, as highlighted before, the key challenges that we've had are still, in place. So the model itself needs to be addressed. What we've been having are a lot of paper structures, right? And to a lot of people, it's becoming like just sound bites to address the issues. Because we talk about reducing salaries, for instance. We still have budgeted about 70% of our spending on recurrent expenditure, which is, sadly misplaced priorities. Reduce waste, fine, that's good. There's a lot of anti-corruption, efforts going on. But there are poor policy structures that will actually negate waste reduction, because a lot of things, we have multiple MDAs doing pretty much the same thing, and collapse services is not part of the culture we're preaching, in the country. So it's a good idea, but we need the right foundation and model to actually push through and, effect the kind of change we're looking at.
You have been listening to the Land is Green Business Program, and I am Linda. We have been talking about Nigeria is technically in recession, and I have Mr. Femi Onakanren of Eagle Value Nigeria Limited in the studio with me. The phone number to call is 0708-066-8026. 0708-066-8026. The National Bureau of Statistics stated that consumer price index used in measuring inflation was 16.5%, the highest in 11 years. And IMF projected that Nigeria's economy will contract in 2016. How relevant and important are these information to us, especially the entrepreneurs?
The inflation figures are quite alarming. The projections from the IMF were like 6 weeks before we actually have the actualization of those realities, and year projection followed on the trend of these challenges that we've already had. The desire to rise, improve the value of life and the value of living in the country is highly mitigated by the inflation constrictions, which relevance to the entrepreneur. It means that the business environment becomes increasingly challenging. You have underfunding. The cost of funds is going to rise, especially with the recent CBN MRR increase, which has raised it by 200 basis points from 12% to 14%. Means that your ability to actually access loans, which was already a challenging structure before, is more limited than before. Which means also that there's an increased cost of raw material. As an import-based economy, we are basically shooting ourselves, and we add all the telltale signs to have actually tried to curtail it and manage the economy better. But like we said earlier in the issues regarding our GDP, the factors required to actually move the economy, the model has to be addressed and properly structured.
How can entrepreneurs and will-be entrepreneurs thrive in this recession?
The problem with recession is that it's largely out of the public hand. We have to pray and hope that the capital spending plan by the government kicks in to force quickly and addresses key issues. That's the hope for the entrepreneur. Another thing that they could use to try to help themselves while waiting for the benefits of those structures is for them to look for alternatives to the base raw materials, rather than importing and being dependent, and try to structure their businesses and create models that can actually manage that. You adjust your cash flow expectations, and then you build your business model around the constraints, right, in the hope that the right policies and spending structures are implemented.
How can the government attract investment in the present state of affairs?
The government is actually doing a lot to attract investment. There was a period that the president came under a lot of pressure, media and public outcry about him traveling around the globe. And basically what he was trying to do is to change the perception of our country in the eyes of the global market. We are looking at diversifying the economy.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Ambrose.
Where are you calling from?
I live in Mowe.
Okay, please go ahead.
We just asked your guest a question. I don't know if he's a co-presenter.
Sorry?
I say you just asked your guest, or maybe it's your co-presenter, a question. How can the economy peak? And for me, I think we have spoken too much grammars in this country. All the economists, they will come and give you all manners of suggestions, and even when you follow them, they have defied solution to Nigeria's economy. For me, imagine Ajaokuta steel industry working, Alaja steel industry working, just rolling mill steel industry working. Imagine all the manufacturing industries that have packed off come back to life. I want to imagine all the textiles industries in Lagos, in Kaduna, come back to life. What will be the solution to all this? Energy. You can imagine if government can channel their resources to energy. They are fighting corruption, which is good. Channel their resources to energy, and then we have enough energy to power all the industries. The consumption of petrol will even reduce by more than 60%. Everything will begin to fall in place. The dollar will begin to peak. The investors will be attracted because there is energy. The problem of this country, to the best of my knowledge, is that there is no power. And without power, you can hardly do anything. I've been saying this and I will continue to say it. Maybe one day government will hear. Go to the redemption camp. There is always light there because they have been able to manage their life. They are not on the national grid. Even if it means the state should, hello.
Hello, I'm listening. We are listening.
Even if it means that power should be decentralized to each state. for power to work in this country. I am telling you, if we have power in this country, the economy will peak.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you. You've had the caller.
He made a valid point as regards to the need for proper fiscal policy, especially when you talk about things like power, roads, and all. And the challenge a lot of people have had, and I think generally that's the box where we're all living in. We need to step out of that box and realize the situation that we're in and how we can help ourselves go. The government they're putting a lot of things, right, that would kick off and solve the issues. However, there should be a lot of focus on local content help. In India, you can find a foundry, a small foundry in, pretty much every street around. And they grew their medical sector, right, by creating the enabling environment for that. The issue we need to address and tell ourselves, concretely as a country is the fact that it's not Ajaokuta working that's going to solve all the metal issues, but increased, dedication and approach, a focused model on SMEs and encouraging small businesses and enterprises to provide at smaller levels, right, that cumulatively lead up to it. If you have, say, a foundry that can do, all they do is just maybe ball bearings and all, that contributes, in the long run, rather than waiting for Jakarta to provide all the ice liner.
Okay. The Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria mentioned that recession is good for the development and expansion of the country's economy. Do you agree with that?
The truth is, recession is not good for any economy. It's a slippery slope. Recession will lead to, if not properly addressed, it's going to lead to depression. And a depressed economy is harder to recover from than a recessed economy, as challenging as a recessed economy is. So we need to understand that devaluation itself is not a problem that we have, which a lot of people are talking about. Devaluation is an economic tool, and it is geared to achieve a particular objective. The important thing is, as with any tool, do you have the enabling, infrastructure, the support structures to actually deliver the value that you want to achieve? So I think that the real issue is not being in the recession, is how we're taking advantage of the position that we're in. We need to increase government spending. It's the whole drama at passing the budget, releasing funds, and not releasing money. It just needs to end, and we need to focus on addressing the economy technically.
Okay, we have another call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Hello, please.
Yeah, good evening.
My name is, I'm calling from.
Okay, welcome to the program. Please go ahead.
Yeah, just for and made mention of energy.
Sorry, we can't hear you. Your line is breaking. Can you speak louder and clearer?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I said the last caller just called in.
Okay.
And he made mention of energy being one of the prominent angle we need to look at.
Okay.
We need to resolve the ongoing crisis in this country. And I want to lean and, support what you have just said. First thing I think is very, very key to Nigerian development is, one, orientation. In this country, I want to assume that we don't live in ourselves. We are not one yet. We need to work on it. We need to work especially starting with the youth to let their united force. And that's what I think for. Then secondly, about the energy, I agree with you. A lot of things are going down. A lot of people are losing jobs. A lot of businesses going down. Basically because of this energy. And I think, I really don't know what our leaders are doing. Rather than funding and investing in their own private businesses outside the country. Let's really sit down, start thinking as one, and invest in, we should invest in. Energy is the key. Agriculture, I read agriculture, and agriculture is good for the Nigerian economy. But even if you look at things, do we produce without energy? How do we process these things can convert to add value and export this product.
Okay.
Anyway, let me drop there.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you very much. All right. Well, what is the solution now to the high level of unemployment and poverty, in the country?
That's a bit of it's a long how do you put it?
Well, you can make
it's
it
a long term. Yeah, it's a long term project.
Well, you can make it.
Yes, we need to commit to what the project is about. If we say we want to reduce high level of poverty, poverty is a result of a lot of things in place, and part of this, a number of things that are in place. Where we talk about unemployment with high inflation and the economy being in recession, those are normal things that are going to happen. So if you want to address it, you need to have a focused strategy and a proper model that is focused on it. It's addressing and solving that issue. If we say unemployment, for example, the government and a lot of institutions have a number of plans, right, to empower youth. They give them funding, but what's the structure behind it? How are you able to grow it and make it sustainable? We have policy somersault. A new administration comes in and then they change, the whole situation. If we really are committed to solving the problem of unemployment, it's not so difficult. The Lagos State scheme, for instance, that is on the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, they are addressing a key issue. Now, if they're going to be financing SMEs and youths and all, it's important that the structure in place actually supports. Some of the things that we have found on is even the process of actually getting access to the funding, qualifying, it's a bit too rigorous. There's no structured plan, right, on how to address those issues and actually deliver value to people. So if we're serious about reducing the high levels of unemployment and poverty, then we need to put the right economic models in place in terms of fiscal and monetary policies.
Okay, so how does the new foreign exchange management policy and the determination of exchange rates by demand and supply grow the economy?
Well, under normal circumstances, demand and supply would actually help you find a balance in your foreign exchange. And
Hello.
Sorry, we have another call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, my name is Femi, calling from Okota.
Okay, please go on.
You see, government has never attracted any foreign investors. What they are doing is foreign trade. That is what they are doing. Do you know that foreign investors know our economy more than us, even more than those in government? See, the foreign investors that will come are traders and not investors. What we are the electricity. Do you know that years back there was a time, was it Shagari that was our head of state? If you go to Aba sprang up. You saw me, because there are some banks that we are with the head of federal government. Federal government gave money to some banks. They were disbursing this money to traders in Aba. You understand? Look down and know if those money was paid back. Most of those money was paid back. Then if you go to Aba, everywhere sprang up. You understand? So what our leaders are doing, they are just going to foreign trade. Because the foreigners, they are going to come and invest here, not this economy more than them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. You had the last call. I said the government is not attracting investment, rather they are doing a foreign trade. So could you speak more about that?
Well, I don't agree with the last caller, with all due respect. The government is doing a lot to attract investment. A number of the monetary and fiscal policies that they put in place is actually to try to encourage foreign investors to come in and, foreign portfolio investors to actually come in. The issue that we've had is there are certain indices that are creating a constraint for the country to actually, attract those investments, which is the whole challenge. The ease of doing business, for instance, is really poor. Confidence in terms of consistent policy making is also an issue. So if we address those things, the Nigerian market is very deep. The Nigerian market is largely untapped, as evidenced by, companies like MTN and the rest of them coming around into the country and actually making, becoming big business players in Africa. So which means that if concerted effort is put in place and the right models are implemented, then it wouldn't be a problem. So it's not that the government is not doing anything. The recent trip to China, I was privileged to know a couple of things that happened, and that the government was trying to achieve by that, venture. And in time, it will come to fruition. So it's not like they're not doing anything, but aside from calling people from the external power, they also need to put the right structures in place locally to encourage self-sufficiency and economic growth. And that is really what we should address. The enabling environment locally within the country to actually produce the right results.
Okay. The boosting of non-oil exports give Nigeria a stronger link to wealth creation, employment generation, and sustainable poverty reduction?
The interesting thing is, since the 80s, 90s, and 2000, everyone has been talking about diversification of the economy. I mean, pretty much every one of us grew up on diversifying the economy. We're too oil dependent. We lean on oil and all. It's important to diversify the economy, right? Increase our non-oil export. It will, of course, increase, employment. If the economy is working well, it will reduce poverty levels. Inflation is going to be properly addressed. Our balance of trade will improve. But we needn't take a simplistic approach, to how we want to solve our problems. And I think that's actually been part of our issue in this country. We're looking for a silver bullet approach. We want a magic solution. It just comes up and it just solves everything. It's a progressive and gradual issue, and it is based on the foundation of a good structure and a good model to work with.
Okay, based on all these analysis we've been talking so far, how can entrepreneurs thrive in this economy?
One of the things that we have suggested to some of our clients is you need to revisit your business model. Now, if your business model is dependent on constraints that are out of your, ability to change, then you would definitely have a problem. There are a lot of things that you have alternatives to. For instance, people import dogs and dog food. Why can't you, if you can't access dog food outside the country, why can't you access dog food within the country? Why can't the government empower local companies, right, that can create alternatives to raw materials and to requirements that we need? If we can entrench that, entrepreneurs will grow, but you need to revisit your business model. If you're operating a business model that is dependent on constraints that you cannot address individually, then you're obviously going to have a challenge.
All right, thank you, Mr. Femi Onakanren, the MD CEO of Eagle Valley Nigeria Limited. It's been insightful having you on the program today.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
We've come to the end of the program today, and I have an announcement from a professional fumigation and pest control training by Rotimax Integrated Services Limited. This training will hold on Friday and Saturday, August 5th and 6th, and the venue is LCCI Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos. For inquiries, please call the number 0802-450-9532. Have a wonderful night rest.
This is what other stations sound like. And this is what we sound like.
I just wanna be a shining star.